I'm Allie here with Video Allies, and we're going to talk about these cameras today. I've spent over 20 years behind the camera as a photographer, videographer, cinematographer, director, and everything film. And so I'm excited to share with you a line of cameras that I think are great for anyone who wants to start out with YouTube. This is for anyone who wants to know more about cameras, especially if you are graduating from your phone and you're ready to get more technical. In making YouTube videos or other content, of course, you can always start with your phone. The technology is so good now. Even the lenses, you have choice of lens. And these phones even come with options for 4K, 120 frames per second. They do a great job, but at some point, you want to get away from your phone, and you've probably outgrown it already if you're watching this video. I'm going to start with my first camera when I got really serious about photography. I'd been doing photos with all kinds of different little cameras, and then I decided I wanted to go professional and get very serious about it. So when I did that, I invested in myself and I decided I would get the best camera at the time. This is an older camera now, but this was groundbreaking when it came out. It's the Canon 5D Mark II. This camera became such an amazing tool in the hands of a filmmaker that it was also used for television, like filming the series of House. An entire season of the House was filmed with this. And filmmakers were doing feature films with this same camera because of its amazing capability to both take great photos and also amazing video. So when you're graduating from your phone, you're going to want the options of a DSLR, like this one, or my newer camera, which is a mirrorless camera. And we'll talk about this too. They both are Canon. I just simply love Canon color, and I love their menu, so it's my favorite camera line, and I'll present what we're using. Just very quickly, this is a DSLR, and all you need to know about that at first is that you can, of course, remove your lenses, and inside you're going to see a mirror, so that when I look through the viewfinder here, the mirror allows me to see what is out there through my lens. And it allows you to take a picture onto the sensor, which then is recorded onto your SD card, or in this case, a compact flash. So in comparison, you can kind of see the thickness of this camera because of the mirror in there. My new mirrorless camera is a lot thinner because instead of going through the viewfinder here and looking physically at it like an older camera, and now with this viewfinder, it's actually a little TV. It is all digital. When I look through here, I'm only seeing the digital image out in front of me versus the traditional where you can see through. Either one is great. Right now we have a lot of mirrorless cameras on the market. If you want to start there with a mirrorless, great. Prices are going to be a little higher. The DSLR is slowly getting phased out, so sometimes you can get a lot of great equipment, which is still amazing. Doesn't matter if it's the newest thing, because Canon cameras are always really reliable. As far as making video for YouTube goes, you're going to get a great product with either camera, but Canon is discontinuing the DSLR lens line, so that means you'll be able to get them probably at a great rate. They'll continue to work with an adapter on one of these. So I'm still buying lenses of both types. So let's get into what you can use, which is a great camera for YouTube. The camera that we like to use here on our team, because it's such a workhorse and it's very portable because we fly around the country quite a bit, we don't need a really big camera rig, but we need really predictable results. And that is the Canon 80D, which I love. And we also have the newer version, which is the 90D, but they're mostly identical other than the 90 has 4K option and 80D does not. So I said it, the one that we like, Canon 80D or 90D, they're about the same. Let's just get into what these cameras are capable of so you know where to start. The number one reason that you want to graduate from your phone or whatever other camera you've been using to a DSLR like this is that you now have a lot more control and a lot more options over the image. With this, lenses. It's all about lenses. So this, of course, lens compared to the tiny little lens you have on your phone is going to make a big difference when it comes to a flattering image, helping people look their best and their most normal. These are very wide angle lenses that typically don't look as good on a human as something like this lens. What I love about the DSLR from the very beginning is that now I could control how much light came in, the actual look and style of my picture. When you look at designer magazines for fashion or landscape or architecture, they're always using a camera with choice of lenses. And the wider or the bigger the project that you're taking a picture of, the wider lens capability you want to have. And just so you know, the smaller the number on your lens, like 10 millimeter or 12 millimeter or 14 millimeter, even up to a 35 millimeter is considered more of a wide angle lens. So if I take your picture with one of those, I can more easily get the whole person in the video. And for your purposes, this lens right here is a 24 millimeter. So it's closer to me than that camera over there, which is a 50 millimeter. And you can see that the 24 allows me to see the entire room a lot more easily, gives me a bigger view, whereas that's more of a close-up lens. So for beginners, without being overwhelming in any way, let me just tell you an easy way to get started. Canon 80D and a 50 millimeter lens is a really great lens for doing personal YouTube channel. Like for here, you can tell that it blurs out the background when you have the lens open all the way. In other words, the mechanism that opens and closes, aperture aperto in Italian or in Latin means open. So the more open the lens is, the more light it lets in. It also affects your depth of field. That's the second thing. So I'm more in focus because that lens is all the way open or close to all the way open, and the background then is more blurry. So really there's only a plane of about this much space, if I were to section this whole area, that is sharply in focus. And the beauty of the 80D and the 90D and most of Canon's other cameras that came out after is this very ability to follow my face. So I can move around, I can even come forward and go back within that focus plane, and it's going to adjust the lens automatically. So right now Alicia's filming the back of the camera, so you can see if I come forward or back, or I have two things. One comes forward, she can tap focus and focus on my hand, or again, I can come forward and it should favor my face. That saves you a lot of trouble with focus. When I had this camera, it was amazing, but it worked more like a movie camera, where you actually have to pull or change the focus as your subject moves further away from you or closer. And so unfortunately, a lot of times, even with this great camera, this one was the 5D Mark II, somebody might move around and you may lose your footage because there wasn't focus. And now, of course, again, this amazing technology makes it so you can film alone by yourself, and sometimes Alicia and I will do that for our channel, where we have this camera set up with a 24 millimeter and this one over here set up with the 50, and we can work back and forth between the two with absolutely nobody behind the camera operating it to check focus. And the way we do that, of course, is the other great thing that Canon came out with, starting with the 60D, and that is, of course, the articulating screen, so that we could see what's going on. I can watch myself as I'm filming. If you're familiar with Casey Neistat videos at all, he kind of made this famous. This camera, this setup is one of the reasons why I bought it, because on his great channel, he could do so many things with the autofocus, follow focus, and have his videos look amazing. So the beauty of DSLR lenses is it works more like a cinematic camera rig, where you have the camera as its own functioning unit, and then you attach the lenses that you need and want for any particular scenario. Whether it's going to be wide so you can see me in my environment here. These lenses are often popular for documentary, or especially for YouTube, because you can see me in this world in a studio setup. And then the close-up, much more intimate and close, and gives that nice portrait type look to it. So to finish up this video, I'm just going to give you my recommendation. We'll show you how to use the camera in other videos, but if you got started with a Canon 80 or 90D, as a DSLR, and you had the 50mm lens, which gives you this natural look that's most similar to what your eye sees, or the 24, or both, the way that we use them in a 2-camera system, you'll have a lot of flexibility and the chance to make really beautiful videos that do stand out from other YouTubers. Just to finish up, get your Canon 80D or 90D, your lenses. Recommend having an onboard microphone. This is the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. Recommend that because it has this little stabilizer, and it also automatically turns on and off when you turn your camera on and off. It's so easy to forget to turn your mic on when you're running and gunning and you're changing locations. So have an onboard mic. It's much better than the one that the camera has. With just that setup alone, you're going to have really nice video quality and a great camera that you will continue to grow into. It's okay to get a camera that's a little ahead of you or a little above you and grow into it. Much better than getting a super entry level camera that you will outgrow too fast. I've had my 5D Mark II for over 10, 12 years, I think. Still use this camera as a backup camera, still amazing. We have the 80D and the 90D that we use for YouTube because it's such a nimble, fast, easy to use camera, especially when we're working with clients. You don't want to be messing around a long time with a lot of adjustments. We do use bigger cameras in our studio when we need it for the right job, but for YouTube, this is going to be everything you need. If you would like to get more information on how to get going with YouTube, we have a top 10 things you need to know before starting a YouTube channel. It's in the links just below. Alicia and I will go through several steps that will be really helpful in getting started. As always, remember you can join our community here on this channel. Give us your questions, anything you would like a video to be made on. We are your video allies. You've got this, we've got your back, and we can't wait to see what you create.